So what's going to happen? So we have Wangui on the call. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask her a couple of questions. I'm going to capture them on the screen. And after that, you guys can also ask a question about her success story, how she passed, and whatever you have in mind. Now, the best way of doing it is you raise your hand, and one by one, you guys can actually speak up. Also, if you have any questions while we're doing this very little interview, which is going to take like 15 to 20 minutes, then you can also put it into the chat so we can actually look into it. So, Wangui, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Ooh, I was actually feeling better, but now I'm glad you are here. So let's say, so when was exactly the exam date? When did you do the?
26th of January.
Okay, so that was January 26th. Did you went to a test center or you did it at home online? Hello? I think we're not able to hear you at the moment.
Hello, I think I lost you there.
Now I
Hello,
can
I can
hear
hear
you.
you now. My connection isn't stable.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the question is that did you do the exam in a test center or you did it at home online?
I did it in a test center.
Okay, went into center. Okay. Okay, very good. In a test center. Good. When did you start the exam preparation?
I started sometime mid last year. Though I started, then I stopped, and then I started again. So this last time, I'd say probably around October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, not 22, 23, sorry. Okay, so 23, but
Yeah.
more committed by October 2023. So I would say we can say that there was a good 3 months of exam preparation.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Do you think that in terms of a lessons learned, that you think that that is a sufficient time, or do you think that this can be done quicker? What do you think?
I think it can be done quicker if you're able to squeeze in some 2 hours a day, or maybe 1.5 hours a day, it can be done much quicker.
Okay, so you say that if you do 2 hours as a lesson learned, 2 hours studies each study day, you do 2 hours studies, you can be prepared ready. Okay.
Yeah. As long
Okay,
as
that's
you're
a good one.
consistent.
Can be prepared earlier. Key is being consistent. Is to being consistent. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. This is great. Now, what type of exam preparation materials you had?
Okay, so I used the Joseph Phillips course on
Okay.
Udemy.
Okay.
I
Anything?
also attended this study sessions,
Okay.
this Wednesday study sessions. There's also the app, your
Okay.
app.
Okay. And then what did you like about the app?
Okay. What I liked about the app is that it had options for different timing.
Okay.
So assuming I have just 10 minutes, I find some time to go aside and prepare. I can do that. I don't have to have a whole 3 hour session
Right.
to
Okay. That's good.
interact with the app. So that's what I liked the most, because you find at times you're waiting for a service, maybe you're standing somewhere in line, and you can, take some time and prepare.
Okay.
What I also liked about it is the fact that it gives an explanation for why a certain answer is the right answer. So it introduces you to the PMI way of thinking.
Okay. 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 That's very
Yeah,
good.
so those are the two things I liked about the app.
Mhm. And did you use anything else in terms of, more questions or technically? Okay, so you use my questions plus what was in the Joseph Phillips course, right?
Yes, yes. There's also a Joseph Phillips course for questions alone.
Okay.
I don't know what exactly it's called, but on Udemy as well.
I
Joseph
think the
Phillips
cram
has
course,
another.
maybe. No,
Yes,
not
I'm
the.
not really sure of the exact name, but
Okay.
it's by Joseph Phillips, and it has questions.
Mhm. Okay.
There's also someone else. I'm not sure. I don't remember the name really, but on YouTube, I'll
Okay.
I'll get the name and just tell you as we carry on with this class.
Okay. Yeah, if you can maybe, once we're finishing and if you can, stay for another 5 minutes, you can add that link into the chat. I think that would be very useful. Okay, so that's good. So actually you did lots of materials. Now, and then
Yeah.
when did you join the study group technically? Was also in October?
Yes, in October.
Okay. And how the study group made a difference?
Yes, it made a difference. So I remember when I said that I started and I stopped.
Uh-huh.
At first I started studying using the official PMI course. That's a
Okay.
course on the PMI website. But then for me, their teaching style did not really work for me. So
Okay.
it was during the study sessions that I was introduced to Joseph Phillips' course.
Okay.
And the study sessions also
Yeah. Oh, I think we lost you for a second.
really helped to, introduce me to that way to answer those questions.
Okay.
Hello, can
Okay.
you hear me
Yeah,
now?
yeah, 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 yeah. We lost you for a second. So the feedback, if I understand correctly, you mentioned was like, so the session was really helping you to understand how to solving questions, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Helping to understand how to solve questions. Okay, that's good. That's good. Also, I guess, what do you think about the success stories? Because technically now, we're closing the loop or closing the kind of the circle that you attended. You hear someone else kind of success story. Now here are you telling your success story, isn't it? That's so
Yeah,
great.
yeah, it is. It is great. It's always good to hear from someone who has experienced what you're experiencing and to know that it can be done, and it can be done on the first try.
Right.
Yeah. So it's always good to hear from someone who's succeeded.
Right. Okay, that's very good. Now, in terms of the lessons learned, do you want to give any lessons learned? I mean, just yet. I mean, in terms of so you had the PMI course, you had the Joseph Phillips course. Any lessons learned that which one you find it more useful or why?
Okay, for lessons learned, I think what I'd say is first of all, get a good course, get something that, something taught in a teaching style that works for you. Something else is just remember that you can't learn everything, like you can't cram everything. So
Right.
if you
Okay.
to stay and study everything and make sure that you know everything word for word, you really will never sit for your exam.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. That's a good one. Okay.
yeah, you should do tests to that really focus on your weak areas. So there's the four, I believe they're called domains. So one thing I also liked about the app is that you can specify what kind of questions you want. Do you want questions in Agile or you want
Right.
questions?
Okay.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
can focus on that and polish your weaker areas and also strive to really understand the content.
Uh-huh.
Not
Okay.
don't cram. Yeah.
I see. I see. I see. Okay, that is a good one. Now, in terms of when it's getting down into your passing grade, so what was your kind of score before going into the exam?
Um, I'd get about 80s, between
Okay.
75 to 80%, yeah, before sitting for my exam.
Okay. Okay. And
Yeah,
that was technically by doing a full mock exam, right?
yeah, yes.
Okay. So technically, so 80% plus on full mock exams, on full mock tests. I would say in that case, so you agree that, when I keep mentioning to everyone that, really the higher you score, the likelihood that you pass is also higher. I mean, that's really like a formula which works, right?
Yes, yes, it does work.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And in case of, the questions you didn't, how the questions are phrased on the exam, did you see similarities or they're like completely, different, or is, the same type of way as we're doing the mindset of looking into is the waterfall, is it an agile question?
Yeah, it's okay. I don't think I understand very well. Is your question on like your kind of questions, are they the same as what is tested on the exam?
Well, I'm not saying same because nobody have the same questions, but are
Yeah,
they similar? So the questions you
yes,
took,
yes,
were they
yes,
okay, okay, okay,
yes, they're very similar, yeah.
okay. So can we say that there are more situational questions now?
Yes, there are situational questions.
Okay.
And that's why I insist that, you strive to really understand the context as opposed to, trying to cram definitions and words and things like that. Yeah.
I see, I see. And what about, so today I'm going to talk about the ITTOs. I mean, you remember, have you got lots of ITTO questions?
Yes, you do. You do get ITTO questions in
Okay.
form of like situational questions. So, they try and get yeah, you do get ITTO questions.
And what about calculations? I mean, that's something also many people are very interested of. Like, you had lots of calculation questions because you might really remember. I would say that if you might gonna get two, you are super lucky. Otherwise, you're not gonna get
Yeah.
too many of them at all, right?
Yeah, you don't get calculations. I
Okay,
think I
okay.
got a few. Yeah, very few
But less than
calculations.
5?
Uh, yeah, say about 5 questions.
Okay. So
Yeah.
around 5. Okay, that is good. That is good. That is good. Now, in terms of overall, your experience with the exam. I mean, what you can highlight there, because in this case, what I'm looking for. So we talked about that you need to have a strategy, that you need to go in with a game plan, that how you're going to do the questions. So overall, I mean, what's your experience? Is it very stressful? Is it yeah? Tell me more. What's your experience in terms of with the exam itself?
Okay. So for the exam itself, I think it can get a bit stressful, but that's if you've not done good research. That's because it's highly monitored. You have a screen, you have a camera in front of you monitoring what you're doing. So it's very easy to panic. So what you can do is go online, research, get to understand how Pearson VUE carries the exams. I think that really
Right.
helps with settling your nerves.
Okay.
But generally, the exam experience was good. Make sure that you keep track of time, because it's very easy to lose track of the time you have. 150 questions in 3 hours is really not no easy feat. So make sure you keep track of your time, be
Mm,
relaxed, and I think do many mock tests. That
okay.
helps you to makes
And
the experience much easier.
and what about having the breaks during the session? I mean, the test. Have you took the breaks as well?
Yes, they do give you one break in
Okay.
between. Once you're done with the first 75 questions, you get a 10-minute break.
Okay. Okay. I think that's a good one. That's a good one. So I would say so. We covered lots of things here, and first, I mean, one more time again. I mean, congratulations, you passed this very, very difficult exam because even the CAPM is getting more and more challenging looking forward. Um, is there any? Let me have a look into the questions into the chat. Is there, something to mention here? Is that there was one question on the Philips course. Has this been updated? And the answer was technically yes. So that has been updated in this case. Content, yeah, for reference. All right, all right, all right. Now, anyone has any questions towards Wangui regarding the exam prep? If you do so, please, raise your hand and then we can go one by one so you guys can also then ask the question. And here's the first one, Valeria. You can go. You can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Gabor. In terms of questions, you mentioned that you did Gabor's questions from the app and as well Joseph Phillips. How do you? Which questions were more appropriate to the exam? Because I find the difference between Gabor's questions and Joseph Phillips' questions.
Which one is better?
Your questions,
Yeah.
Gabor, is a little bit more difficult, bit more difficult
Okay,
than
okay.
Joseph Phillips ones. And yeah, I'm just wondering how is at the exam the questions.
So,
Okay.
Wangui, what you say that I mean, you need to be prepared for complex questions,
Yes, you
or
do.
okay.
You do need to be prepared for complex questions. I think let me go through my search history on YouTube here and try and get the other provider with questions, but you do need to be prepared for difficult questions because the exam is really not that easy. I must say.
Right. Okay. So I think maybe, Valeria on the, or call or restating the same thing. My philosophy is that we better kind of go and sweat beforehand to make sure that the exam is more easily done. So I would say I definitely choose questions which are difficult. Sometimes even might sound like a PMP question, but because as soon as you adopt to the mindset and the way they interpreting waterfall and or agile, I mean, you can solve all those questions. It's not about, how much you know, because you cannot remember everything. And since out of the 150, 15 questions will be unscored. If I go with the 80% mark, that is 120 correct. So you're going to screw up 30 questions still, which means that that's okay to screw up 30 questions. And you're going to still pass the exam, because the goal of the CAPM is that you have a good end-to-end understanding from beginning to an end of a project. But that was a good question.
Thank you, Gabor.
Okay. Anyone has any question towards Wangui regarding her exam experience? I do have one. If you have a question, please feel free raise your hand. Now, Wangui, how long it took to get or complete the exam?
It took me the entire 3 hours.
Okay, so you used the 3 hours. Okay.
Yeah, I used the 3 hours.
Okay. Used the full 3 hours. Okay. Jake Kishan is asking that, so you get the results right away on the spot at the test center?
I got my results right away.
Okay, right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I think that's good. This is awesome. I'm very glad, number one, that you are able to make it and also share your experience. Congratulations one more time. I don't have any other questions towards Wangui. I think she shared lots of valuable lessons learned, which can be applicable for all of us. I would say that, Wangui, if you can stay maybe another 5 to 10 minutes, if somebody have any question, they can still type it into the chat. But really appreciate you were able to come in. I think that was very, very useful, and hope you had a big party out there. Now there is one question already. Okay, so you got the results as soon as you are done with the test, or so you leave the test center, let's say, with with a smile on your face, right?
Yes, I left the test center with
Ah,
my results.
okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, I think the reason for that, because on the PMP, PMI no longer, or not necessarily, they make it a rule that they no longer should give you the results. But so far, the message is that most people will get some type of preliminary results, and so they know at least there's an indication before they leave. It's not like they've, been complete radio silence for 2 days or so and waiting for the results. But anyways, Wangui, thank you very much for coming in. This was very, very valuable. I think there is also a need if you can find that YouTube link. So if you can stay on the line, I think that would be great to answering that question, if you don't mind, for another 5 to 10 minutes. Okay?
So right, I'll stay behind. I'd like to add something.
Sure.
There's something I see here from Sasha on the Joseph Phillips course. So it says that there's the first there's a 2023 updated version, and then there's the older version. So what I would advise is, for someone who is new to project management, just take your time and study both versions, because it really helps to understand, especially waterfall method. Yeah.
And I agree with that as well, because I mean, just going to that practicality. So when PMI talks about, agile in the PMI dictionary is only software development, whereas everything else will be waterfall. So all in all, I think the message is that you have to spend a good amount of time to understand how waterfall works, because that's still the meat. That's how we do still, I would say, 80-90% of the projects around the world, which means that there is no project without business case, critical path, project charter, baseline. So you still need to have a good understanding of that. So it sense is very, very useful. So yeah, that's something I also, highly recommend to you all. Okay. In that case, thank you very much for coming in, sharing your success story. Congratulations again. So it was the 26th. Hope you can have another after party this weekend to celebrating this this success. And once time comes, I'm happy to see you on the PMP study group, which now it's moving into the Fridays from looking forward. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And in the end of the day, I mean, this is one of the most rewarding parts of the study group when people are passing, coming in and sharing their success story. So let me quickly save that because that's very important. Now, there was a question on the chat as well that how you can get access to the recording. So the recording you can get access through my what is it? The subscription model which I have for the newsletter, which technically goes with the $5 per month option. So let's say if you plan to do the exam next month, technically you go there, you go and make a subscription for a month or so, and then you are able to get access to all the videos as well. I would say that yeah, all the session videos are available, but we do have the slides as well there, but shouldn't be any challenge there. And in that case, you're going to be able to get access to all that kind of explanations as well, so as with all the rest. Perfect. Before I move on, and we're going to do our first exercise, which is going to be a drag and drop. For those of you who started or joined slightly later, the gift I have to you